There's a physical place you can get a ticket and go to Vrindavan. But to enter Vrindavan and enter the eternal spiritual abode of Vrindavan, there has to be some eligibility, some qualification. There's some of you may know Brahma Samhita, Sri Brahma Samhita. And in Sri Brahma Samhita, it speaks of that eternal abode of Vrindavan as Goloka. I'll sing the verse. Many of you know the verse. If you know the verse, you can say it with me. Goloka namni nitadamni tale chatasya Devi maheshu haridama suteshu teshu Te te prabhava lihitasvihitashyena Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So, Goloka Namni, known by the Namni or the name, Goloka Namni, Nija Damni, Nija means his own. Goloka is Nija Dham, his own abode. Goloka Namni, Nija Damni, Hale is the surface. Chatasya, then this is Devi Dham, the abode of Durga Devi. Devi, and above Devi Dham is Mahesh Dham. Mahesh, Lord Shiva. Above this realm is the abode of Lord Shiva. Above the abode of Lord Shiva is the abode of Hari, or Vaikuntha. So we're looking up. Devi Dham, Mahesh Dham, Hari Dham, and above them all, Goloka. So we'll do it again. Goloka Namni, Nijadamni, Tale Chatasya, Devi, Maheshu, Hari Dhamasu, Teshu Teshu, Te Te Prabhava Liyatasvihitashyena, Govindamadi Purusham, Tamaham Bhajami. So these prayers are from Lord Brahma. They're the ripened fruit of his realization from chanting of his mantra, or two mantras that he received. And by chanting of his two mantras, according to the language of Brahma Samhita, he became well acquainted with the ocean of truth. Well acquainted with the ocean of truth. That highest abode is Vrindavan, or Goloka, Golokadam. And the painting that's on the screen is a painting of Sanatana Goswami, and he is one of the residents, eternal residents of that eternal realm, Vrindavan. And we're going to hear two verses from a nice text. I thought this would be a nice group to share this topic with, so I saved it for you guys because you like nice topics. So, how to enter into Vrindavan, the spiritual abode of Vrindavan, and eternally engage with Radha and Krishna and their loving pastimes. This is a how-to discussion. If you want. If you don't want, that's another option. But if those who want, then this is a teaching how to. So one of the persons who is mercy, you'll hear shortly the verse by one of the six Goswamis named Raghunath Das Goswami. He's going to explain how to, because he's there and he wants others to join him. He doesn't want to just be the enjoyer by himself. He wants others to join him. So he's giving the how to get here. Please come invitation. So here's a little description about Sanatana Goswami, found in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, Sanatana Goswami, before he was Sanatana Goswami, he was he was a prime minister of what was then maybe 1/4 of all of India today. And there was during a certain period of time, around the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was invasion from the north of Mughal rulers, Pathan soldiers, kind of came in and conquered over everybody. And in this Pathan region in North India, Ramakeli was the capital. Sanatana Goswami was the prime minister. His brother was the home minister, and another brother was the finance minister. They ran the government. The king really, really liked them because they were good, and that allowed him with all of his armies to go conquer new territories, and he could run the kingdom under their care because they were good, and people looked up to them because they were quality people. So they were obedient to them, and they were good administrators, and he was very happy. But he wasn't happy. He left all of that wealth, etc., 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 position, aristocracy, he left this assembly of aristocracy and instead became a mendicant. Mendicant meaning no worldly possessions other than a simple loincloth. Loincloth means just something around your waist, and that's it. That's it. And, all of his fine ornaments and wealth and loads of gold coins and stuff was just given in charity to different places without the detail. And he went to go, as Lord Chaitanya requested him, he made his residence in Vrindavan. There's details, but at a certain point in time, Lord Chaitanya met him and then advised him, after some time, you can come see me in Puri. For those of you that don't know your geography in India, it's like Detroit in Florida. Florida. And if you live in Detroit, to go from Detroit all the way to Florida, it's a long journey. But he made this long journey to go visit from Vrindavan all the way to Puri, which is on the East Coast, southern India, East Coast, southern central, but southern India, East Coast. And when he reached when he reached Puri, which was the residence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there were different circumstances, but he fell at the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the assembly. Lord Chaitanya was in an assembly, and one of the persons in the assembly was Ramananda Roy, whose name is here on this screen. Ramananda Roy himself, Sanatana Goswami had been prime minister of a whole government. Ramananda Roy was governor of a large section of land deep in South India, now Chennai, then Madras. It wasn't just the city of Madras, it was a whole country. He gave it up. So Lord Chaitanya is introducing Sanatana Goswami to Ramananda Roy this way. Sanatana Goswami's renunciation of material connections is just like yours. Meaning you're both aristocratic gentlemen, you both gave it up. Both you and he just dismissed it. Humility, renunciation, and excellent learning exist in him simultaneously. So we'll take the excellent learning. Sometimes you may know somebody that has vast learning, and it's not at all uncommon. It's common It's someone that has vast learning. They're a little proud, or really proud. I've had my experience of meeting such people, encountering such people. It's nice to meet very learned people. It's not nice to meet the pridefulness that's within them. But Sanatana Goswami, he is excellently learned, and he's very humble, and he's very renounced. These three exist in him simultaneously. And then he makes a third comment. I empowered both of these brothers. That's the brothers are Rupa and Sanatan. Rupa Sanatan. I empowered both of these brothers to go to Vrindavan to expand the literature of bhakti. He is a model of humility, or the Sanskrit word. There are different words for humility. One of them in Sanskrit is dainya. The entrance into Vrindavan, not just to go there with a ticket and a visa, but this eternal abode of Krishna in Vrindavan. Then there's not like there's a gate, but you won't get in if you're not humble. Here's a further description about Sanatana Goswami. This is Prabhupada's commentary. Sri Sanatana Goswami Prabhu, the teacher of the science of devotional service, wrote several books, of which the Brihat Bhagavatamrita is very famous. Anyone who wants to know about the subject matter of devotees, devotional service, and Krishna must read this book. Now, we had a nice discussion yesterday about what other books are nice books to read. Shalagram was asking a question like that, like 5 times asking the same question. So this is another nice book to read. Brihat. Brihat means great. And Bhagavatam, we know. Bhagavatam is in relation to Bhagavan. There's the book and there's the person, Bhagavata. So the Brihat Bhagavata Amrita. It's Sanatana Goswami wrote a commentary on our Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Srimad Bhagavatam that we know, the 18,000 verse Srimad Bhagavatam. But to write a commentary on it, let me tell you a little bit about the structure of the book. I think you'll like it. You like stories? Okay, everyone's smiling. Okay, stories. This is story time. The circumstance of Srimad Bhagavatam being spoken was there was a king. The king's name, Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj did something completely out of character. Completely out of character. I mean, completely out of character. He became 2 things. He became overwhelmed with thirst, and then he became angry at a sage. And he fasted for 7 days and 7 nights without drinking water, without having anything to eat. And he became overwhelmed with thirst. This is, so he was hunting, as a king would sometimes do, to chase wild animals in the forest and show his prowess. And, in case he had to protect citizens, he had the power to challenge something wild and protect the citizens in case of a battle or some circumstance. So he was authorized. It was part of his duty as a king. And when he was hunting, suddenly he became overwhelmed with thirst. That's not Maharaj Parikshit. And then off in the distance, he saw a little grass cottage. So he thought maybe the person that lives inside that grass cottage has some water. So he went to the cottage, and when he went inside the cottage, he saw a sage engaged in trance of meditation, like immobile. He was fixed in the trance of meditation. And he became angry at the sage. The king became angry at the sage. What kind of hospitality is this? What kind of Brahmin are you? You don't have even the courtesy to honor a guest? Because that's just common courtesy. Common, any person, what to speak of a Brahmin. A guest comes to your home, uninvited guest comes to your home. There's a standard. 1, 2, 3. 1. You receive them with some kind words. 2. You give them a place to sit. 3. You offer them some water or some refreshment. Just hospitality, just common sense. It's not like special. You don't have even the courtesy to receive a guest. What kind of Brahmin are you? And when he had entered the sage's cottage, he saw a dead snake on the ground. So he went back outside the doorway. On the tip of his sword, he lifted the dead snake and put the dead snake around the in trance of meditation sage's neck. This is a suitable garland for you. And left. Insult on top of all three, completely out of character. That meaning, it was inspired by Super Soul that he did all three. And what happened was, the sage was a grahasta, and he had a son, and his son was off at school, and somebody sent his son a text message. And the text message said, guess what? The king has insulted your father. He put a dead snake around his neck when he was in meditation and insulted your father. Do something. And he immediately did something. The little boy, his name was Shringi, and the father's name was Shamakrishi. The little boy knew enough, because he was a Brahmin boy, he knew how to utter mantras, and he happened to know a certain mantra that could kill the king. And he touched water, uttered the sacred mantra, and the mantra that came out was that a snake bird would bite the king. A poisonous snake bird would bite the king in 7 days, and instantly he would die. The mantra was uttered, and it was done. And once it's done, it can't be taken back. And the little boy was so upset, he went back to his home, and he told his father everything that happened. And by that time, his father was no longer in trance, and his son is crying in his lap and telling him the story. And what has my son done? I need to inform the king he's going to die in 7 days. Because it can't be, once the mantra is out, it can't be drawn back. So he went and told the king. And the king immediately accepted, I've done a big offense. I deserved a corresponding big punishment. Death in 7 days, I accept. So he renounced his kingdom. He turned his kingdom over to his elder son. Elder son's name was Janamejaya. And he went to the bank of the river Ganges to prepare himself for death. That was the context of the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam that took 7 days, leading up to his death. So here's Sanatana Goswami's commentary after. This is how Brihat Bhagavatamrita begins. All this is story upon a story. And then there's a story within the story. So after the 7th day was complete, and Shukadeva Goswami had completed reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, he got up and left, leaving some time for the snake bird to come. The mother of the king's name was Maharaj Parikshit. The mother's name was Uttara. Mother Uttara came running up to her son and said, I couldn't understand everything that he said. Could you tell me what he said? And Maharaj Pariksit said, my dear mother, normally this isn't the right time to ask such a question. But because you're asked and you're my mother, I'll summarize. And the summary is Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It's a commentary on the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. It's Maharaj Pariksit retelling what he heard from Shukadeva Goswami, right on the spot. At least the commentary that's the context of the commentary. So in this book, Brihad Bhagavatamrita, what he's telling is what's in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is everything you need to know, everything you may want to know, devotees, devotional service, and Krishna. Shalagram? That's reading material after you finish this study of the Sandarbhas. You can read it side by side if you want to. We had this nice exchange yesterday. That's very comprehensive. And one of his qualifications, he had three. So what are those three? He was very humble, Danya. He was highly learned, and he was very detached from worldly affairs, renounced from worldly affairs. All three. Now, there's another member of the six Goswamis who also, we recently observed his disappearance day. I'm just going to give you a picture of humility. That's what I'm attempting to do. So here's one of them. This is Gopal Bhatta. Gopal Bhatta lived about the same number of years in Vrindavan as Sanatana Goswami, but he started when he was 7 years old. His father was the chief priest of Srirangam. Now, those of you that are from India or have been to India, you know what Srirangam is. It's a super old place, super big place. It's one of the largest temples in all of India and very popular and very lots of people visit it. And there's a vast deity that's a very interesting deity. It's Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Vishnu, the deity is 12 feet long, and he's lying down. Have you seen a deity lying down? Go to Srirangam, you'll see one. And that's the main deity. His father was the chief priest of the deity and the entire temple. And he was his only son, which means he was going to become the chief priest of Srirangam when he grew up, became a mature young man. But when something happened, something that happened was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with some details, he was on a tour of South India. He happened to come to Srirangam at the very beginning of the 4 months of the rainy season, and traditionally, sannyasis don't travel during the 4 months of the rainy season because it's the rainy season. It's like really unpredictably flooding and, so they just stay in one place. So he's invited to stay in Srirangam. Not only in Srirangam, but he stayed in the home of Venkatabhatta. And in the home of Venkatabhatta was also the son of Venkatabhatta. His name was Gopal, little boy, 7 years old, Gopal. And what does a little 7-year-old boy do in relation to a sannyasi? Some little service. So the wife of Venkatabhatta would prepare meals, offer to the deity, and then give the remnants of the deity prasadam to her son to bring to Lord Chaitanya. So he brought his meals every day. Sometimes he would get the opportunity to wash his clothes. And sometimes when Lord Chaitanya would go to the temple of Ranganath and dance 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 and ecstasy of love of God. In the afternoon, Gopal would massage his legs because his legs were fatigued or tightened or whatever. I mean, he's a young sannyasi, but little boys would do that. So one day, while massaging Lord Chaitanya's leg, listen carefully, it's really nice. Lord Chaitanya said to Gopal, in the spiritual world, you are an eternal associate of Srimati Radharani. And Gopal said, and in the spiritual world, you are Shyamasundar Brajendra Nandana, Krishna, who in this lifetime is taking the role of a sannyasi mendicant. And that's how they knew each other. While they're doing things in this world, their consciousness was in other world. And many, many, many things happened. I just going to tell a little bit. When it was time for Lord Chaitanya to leave after the 4 months, Gopal wanted to go with him. He was like super attached, transcendentally attached. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you stay and serve your mother and father until their departure from this world. And then, when that time comes, don't come join me in Puri, but you go to Vrindavan and associate with Rupa and Sanatan. So you all remember Sanatan Goswami and his brother Rupa Goswami. So sure enough, that's what he did. When he was 30 years old, that's when his parents left this world. With their explicit permission, he went to Vrindavan. Before they departed, he went to Vrindavan. There he stayed for another 40 years. And while he was in Vrindavan, there's details and details, but he was feeling great separation from Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya appeared to him in a dream. And in the dream, Lord Chaitanya said, you're feeling separation from me. If you want to see me again, go to the river in Nepal. How do you see Lord Chaitanya in a river in Nepal? But in that place in Nepal, there's a Gandaki River, and it's well known. Brahmanas know, Gopal knew. There are Shalagram Shilas. What's a Shalagram Shila? Shila means stone. And just like if you want to know more about Shalagram, you can ask him, what does his name mean? It's a stone that has the faculty or facility or capacity to be Narayana himself. With it, the stone doesn't need installation because the stone is already Narayana. And so Brahmanas worship, they gather the Shila. Let's just make sure we're all still awake. He gathered the Shilas, 12. There's details I'm skipping. And he went back to Vrindavan. And then something else happened. He had faith. You go to this river in Nepal. You go to this river in Nepal and you will see me. But they were just Shalagram Shilas that he worshipped because he knew how the procedure for worshipping Shalagram Shila. Yeah, thanks. Then something happened. A miracle happened. The miracle that happened was there were other Goswamis in Vrindavan. All this is to give examples of humility. So when all that period of time that he was in Sri Rangam, he wasn't idle. He wrote books. He wrote 4 manuscripts that later became published under somebody else's, three manuscripts that became somebody else's writing, but he was the author. This was not uncommon. It happened fairly commonly. Someone who considered themselves the junior or disciple of someone would do the writing, like the ghost writing, and they give to the senior person. The senior person would restructure it, edit, etc., and then publish it and become known as their publication. Bhaktisiddhanta did something similar. And anyway, so Gopal Bhatta wrote the Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami. When he got to Vrindavan, it's a manuscript. It's a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam according to topic. 6 topics, 6 Sandarbhas. He gave the manuscript, Jiva Goswami, please put this in a organized, publishable form. On one condition, don't use my name. Don't mention my name. So he did. And of course, some of it's own, Jiva Goswami's own writing, but much of it, the structure of it was Gopal Bhatta's writing. And then, in addition, this Brihat Bhagavatamrita, no, excuse me, not Brihat Bhagavatamrita. Another writing is Hari Bhakti Vilas. Hari Bhakti Vilas is another book Gopal Bhatta wrote. It's a how-to manual. How to, coming up soon is Krishna Janmashtami. How to observe Janmashtami. How to observe Ekadasi. How to perform initiation. How to have a wedding. How to this, how to that. Anything that a Vaishnava might do. With scripture, all scriptural reference, it gives how-to procedures. The author, Gopal Bhatta. And he gave it to Sanatana Goswami and said same thing. Take the book, please publish it in some form that's usable. On one condition, don't mention my name. This is his spirit. He wanted to be useful to the Vaishnava community, but invisible. Later, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya were being composed by a celebrated author. Some of you are familiar with Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you're not, in time you'll become familiar. The author, Krishnadas Kaviraj, wanted the blessings of the Vaishnavas before he undertook, so he went to Gopal and asked for his blessing. He said, sure, on one condition. Don't mention my name. So he indirectly only did he mention. This is the kind of humility. So here he is. Now Gopal's in Vrindavan with his 12 Shalagram Shilas. With this dream, Lord Chaitanya said, if you want to see me, go to this river. So he has his Shilas, and while he's doing his Shila worship, somebody came to town, a wealthy merchant came to Vrindavan, wanting to make gifts to all the deities of the Goswamis. So all the deities of the Goswamis were many and large deities, but he had these little Shilas. I mean, the Shilas one may fit in the palm of your hand, small. So he didn't say anything. He just had a desire. It would be very nice. That's all, just desire. It would be very nice if I also had a deity and could offer nice clothing and ornaments and crowns and items to my deity. And in that mood, he finished the worship at the end of the day, put the deities in the same place that he did every day because he was a very meticulous person. And when he got up in the morning, there's only 11 Shilas. He looked over there and there was Shila number 12. And this is the Shila number 12. that Shila number 12 manifested, self-manifested in a form of Krishna holding a flute and with a peacock feather and, a deity that he could dress and ornament and offer crowns and jewelry. He was amazed. Of course, it's called self-manifesting deity. I've not seen, but the pujaris have shown scientists that wanted to find out, was this cheating? Was it really a self-manifest deity? So under certain conditions, they allowed scientists to examine the deity. There's no carving of this deity, but rather on the back side, the lower back region, there's a bulge from which the deity manifests from a Shila, and boop, Radharaman. And so he is another example of humility. Now, some of you know, you've been around a while. I hope I'm not disturbing the minds of people that don't know all these names and things like this. One of the acharyas in our line is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's pictured here on the left. He wrote commentary on this book that we're going to be entering into, Mana Shiksha. Mana means mind, Shiksha means instruction. So it's instructions to the mind by one of the 6 Goswamis named Raghunath Das Goswami. So the Mana Shiksha has laid down a systematic procedure for one to enter into and become absorbed in the pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. One should follow it without guile. So one of the 2 principal instructions of the mind is to give up pride, because humility is the antidote to pride. And the word pride has different Sanskrit terms. One of them in this particular verse is dambam, you'll see shortly. Here's another one of the 6 Goswamis pictured here, Raghunath Das. Similarly, from an aristocratic background, he was from one of the wealthiest families in all of India at the time. So here we might say, member of the Ford family, or the Rockefeller family, or in India, the Birla family, or the something family. Super wealthy, mega wealthy. He was the only son, due to inherit all of that wealth. And he had no interest in it at all. He left and became a mendicant in Vrindavan. But before he became a mendicant in Vrindavan, he was a mendicant in Puri with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 12 years. And later in his life, he wrote this book, How to Enter into Vrindavan, how to become an eternal resident of Vrindavan, of Vrajadam, absorbed in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And there are 2 qualifications. We'll see them shortly. Sada Dambam Hitva. Hitva means giving up. Sada means always. Dambam means pride. Even sounds bad. Dambam. About pride, always. Dambam. Give it up. And Ratim Apurvam Atitaram. Prabhupada named one of his disciples Apurva Das. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, there's a description in Chaitanya Charitamrita. External reason, internal reason. External reason, to propagate the chanting of the holy name. Not just propagate the holy name, but propagate attraction to the holy name in spontaneous attraction, Ragamarg. And he personally, internal, he wanted to taste the sweet essence of the mellows of love of Godhead. There's many verses that explain and expand on this further, but there's the two external, internal. And the externals, he wanted to propagate Ragamark. Now, most of us, we're practicing some form of devotional service. Commonly, it's known as, or technically, it's known as sadhana bhakti, or even more technically, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Vaidhi is an adjective. It means following the vidhis or rules. Like perform Mangalarti or observe Ekadasi or don't offend a Vaishnava. There's some do's and there's some do nots. Don't steal, common sense things. Don't lie, etc. Some do's and do nots. Those are vidhis. And there's perform devotional service according to the vidhis of sadhana bhakti. Then there's another category or stage, and that's raga marg, indicated here on the screen. Lord Chaitanya wanted to give not just the vidhis, but he wanted to give the spontaneous attraction message and method. And he lived it, and he passed it on to his associates, the 6 Goswamis. And one of those 6 is Raghunath Das, and he wanted to give it to everybody. There's another verse. You see the verse numbers? This is Adi Lila chapter 4, verses 15, 16. A little bit later, by hearing about the pure love of the residents of Vraja, devotees will worship me, this is Lord Chaitanya speaking, on the path of spontaneous love, Ragamarg, abandoning all rituals of religiosity and fruitive activity. Raghunath Das, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, has written in his prayers called Manashiksha that one should simply worship Radha and Krishna with all attention. So that's just a backdrop. Now comes the deity worship. There's a nice curtain behind the deities, and then we're getting ready to dress the deity. So the dressing of the deity are these verses. We're only going to be discussing 2 of these 11 verses that make up Manashiksha, and hopefully this sound is going to work again. Here's the first verse. Notice the color coding, Sada Dam Bam Hit Ba. Then Kururatim Apurvam Atitaram. Here's the word for word. Kuru, please take. Ratim, delight or attachment. Apurvam, unprecedented or extraordinary. Atitaram, intense. So intense attachment. Unprecedented and excessive attachment. To what? Let's hear what to what is. Here's some nice little sound. Hopefully it works. There. This is the first verse. There's one devotee that's going to sing it, and many of you, he may have visited here. Mukunda? Mukunda Prabhu? Mukunda is going to recite the verse. So just follow along.
Guru Goste Gostalai Susujane Busuragane Svamantre Shri Namni Vrajanavayuvadvanvasharane Sadadambam Hidva Kururatimapurvamaditaram Aye Svantar Bratash Chatubirabiyache Dritapada.
And his good wife is going to read for us the translation in English.
O dear brother, O mind, Having given up all pride, please develop unprecedented and excessive attachment to Sri Guru, to Sri Vrindavan, the abode of cows, to the devotee residents of Vrindavan, to all the devotees on this planet, to the confidential mantra given by Sri Guru, to the holy names of Sri Sri Radha Krishna, and to the process of surrendering to the fresh, youthful couple of Vraja. Holding your feet, I beseech you with sweet words.
The fellow on the left, that's the mind. And he's being appealed to by the words of Raghunath Das Goswami. And it's instruction to his mind, but it's also instruction that we may give to our mind. And here's a little summary of that first verse. The process of worship presented in verse 1 is Ratim Apurvam Atitaram, unprecedented great love practiced nowhere else than in Braja. There's a special kind of love towards Krishna found in Vrindavan that's not found anywhere else, thus practiced nowhere else than in Braja. So following this intense and unprecedented love, we're going to just finish with the discussion of verse number 3. How this verse 1 can be achieved, in case you wanted that end result. Eternally reside in the abode of Krishna and worship Radha and Krishna in great love. In case you wanted that, here's how to get there. And who is eligible to get there? Who is eligible for this kind of strong devotion?
Yadi cher avasham vrajabhuvi saragam pratijanur Yuvadvandvam tachchit paricharitum aradabilashe Svarupam shirupam saganamiha tasyagrajamapi Sputam premna nityam smaranamatatvam shrunumana.
Translation?
Listen, O mind, if you desire in every birth to reside in the land of Vraja with loving attachment and to serve the youthful couple of Sri Sri Radha Krishna in close proximity, then clearly remember and offer obeisances to Sri Swarup, Sri Rupa, and his associates in Vrindavan, and to Sri Rupa's elder brother, Sri Sanatan.
Now, two things. There are eternal associates of Krishna in the spiritual world, and their lives are perfect eternally. They have a nice name, Ragatmika Bhaktas. So the practice of spontaneous love is to become absorbed in the activities of those eternal associates of Krishna. Do your external rules and regulations, the do's and do nots, and etc., and simultaneously, internally, cultivate an attachment for the eternal associates while doing the external activities of bhakti. And now he's indicating to get to that stage, there's something that you can do that can help you get to that stage. That's right on the screen right now. Offering obeisances to Sri Rupa, and Sri Sanatan Goswami, and for that matter, the six Goswamis, the loving associates that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent to Vrindavan to propagate Ragamarg. And they wrote books to explain to everybody, invite us into that realm of spontaneous love. So remembering these persons, just as it's nice to do on the appearance or disappearance day of these great personalities, to remember them, hear their glories, become immersed in them, become purified, and become realigned with that higher purpose of life, the higher purpose of bhakti. There was some question in this morning class about how to become fixed when you're trying to do some daily devotional service and you start off with good intention. You get so absorbed in doing whatever it is that you're doing that you kind of forget the purpose of what you're doing it for. So then how to stay fixed on that purpose. This is this raga. When there's an internal attachment to the object, then when you're doing the activities in relation to the object, you're remembering the object because you're attached to the object. And how to become attached? By remembering those persons and praying to those persons who have achieved that. That's their function, and that's something that we can do to help achieve. And one of the words, I'm almost done, and we're going to end abruptly, so get ready for the brake pedal. One of the words in this verse, verse number 3, is pratijanur. Pratijanur means be patient, or life after life. Explicitly, that's the meaning. And the painting is depicting Rukmini. Who is Rukmini? Rukmini was the first queen of Krishna in Dwarka. Rukmini had a brother, elder brother, named Rukmi. And Rukmi didn't care what his sister wanted. He was going to arrange her marriage with somebody she didn't want to marry. And she was like, no way am I going to marry that guy. No way. But, a cultured young girl in a cultured kingdom, she's kind of little difficult to disobey her elder brother. So what she did was she wrote Krishna a letter. My dear Lord Krishna, my brother wants me to marry Shishupal. No way am I going to marry Shishupal. Oof. I have a plan. Here's the plan. I'm not even allowed out of the palace except one day of the year. There's a special festival that just outside the temple, outside the palace, there's a temple of Devi. And I'll personally go to that place on such and such day. And if you come in a chariot and scoop me up and put me on the back of your chariot and whisk me away, I don't have to marry Shishupal. He died. She made a very detailed plan. She just so she had royal privileges. She wrote Krishna a letter, and she sent the letter to Krishna in Dwarka. And you see her looking out the doorway from her balcony. Is the messenger, did Krishna get the message? Is the messenger going to come back? And then when she saw the messenger coming down the path, her heart is jumping and pounding. What's he going to say? What's he going to say? The Pratijanur, so Krishna had said, yes, I'll come. You made a good plan. I'll show up in my chariot and whisk you away. The letter says, if I cannot obtain your mercy, I shall simply give up my vital force. Then, after hundreds of lifetimes of endeavor, I may obtain your mercy. Pratichanur. So some of us are chanting for some time. Some of you may be chanting for a few years. Some of you more than a few years. Some of you, less than a few years, whatever it's been. We've all been chanting for some period of time. And we probably have an expectation, like faithfully through chanting purification and purification and more purification. And eventually we'll become pure. And when one becomes pure, that's an eligibility in the mood of humility, eligibility for getting Krishna's association, whatever that form might be. In the case of Rukmini, it was becoming her husband. And somebody else, it may be whatever it may be. But entrance into Vrindavan, that's one wonderful aspiration. And how long will that take? It'll take as long as it takes. That's how long it'll take. Pratijanur. And a last slide. This is a well-known verse from Shikshastakra. This is Lord Chaitanya's teaching. And he is indicating the same teaching that Raghunath Das Goswami is presenting. We'll recite this together if you like. Nadanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatan bhaktir ahaituki tvayi. So he is praying to Krishna. I don't want dhanam, I don't want wealth. I don't want janam, I don't want followers. Not sundarim, I'm not wanting a beautiful wife. Pravitam va jagadisha kamaye. I don't want anything that's of this world. What do I want? Mama janmani janmanishware. Birth after birth. Bhavatad bhaktir ahaitaki twayi. I would like for the manifestation of ahaituki bhakti, undivided, no material causation, no material interruption, that kind of devotional service to awaken in my heart. That's what I want. So that's a nice prayer. And that's an eligibility criterion for what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. Raga Marg, the path of spontaneous devotion, where there's nothing in it for me. Things that people want are those three categories, generally speaking: wealth, followers, or beautiful wife or husband, beautiful spouse, or nice married life, and live happily ever after. But you don't live happily ever after because there's an end to everything. What to speak of is not always happy. So transcendental teaching to go to the transcendental abode of Vrindavan and eternally engage in loving service to Krishna. That's our topic. And that's the end. And I've already gone 5 minutes over time. Deva Madhava, what to do about the timing? It's okay. So the best part generally is the questions and answers. And I'm expecting that there'll be some nice questions. Let's see if there can be some corresponding answers to your nice questions. Anybody here would like to discuss some topic? Madhava. Yeah. How do we connect our worldly day-to-day life with their destination, which is otherworldly? That's the as essence of, huh? That's not what your question was, though. Okay, Rukmini. Okay, I didn't get the Rukmini. Rukmini is like the residents of Vrindavan. Rukmini is one of the eternal associates of Krishna. But there's a pastime where she, as if she wasn't, she became a queen, the first of Krishna's queens. But she's an eternal associate of Krishna, as are the residents of Vrindavan, eternal associates. And one, that wasn't your question. Your question was how do we connect Rukmini with Vrindavan? No? Okay. How do you connect elements that are not in Vrindavan with Vrindavan? That's your question. Okay. Well, we're not in Vrindavan. We're in Ypsilanti. And I was wondering, where does that name come from anyways? Greek general, really? All glories to a Greek general. Greek general, Ypsilanti. Okay. Doesn't really connect it to Vrindavan. But it's possible to be in Ypsilanti and connect to Vrindavan. It's more than possible. It's what we're attempting to do. And the effort is to see even Ypsilanti or anything or Rukmini or anything that's not in Vrindavan in relation to Vrindavan, or specifically, a little more broadly, to Krishna. So the different moods of love for Krishna. The love of Krishna in Dwaraka is different. It's pure, but the love of the mood of Krishna, love for Krishna in Dwaraka is different than the mood of love in Vrindavan. But the mood of love in Vrindavan has a special sweetness. And so whether it's Vrindavan or Dwaraka or outside of Vrindavan, seeing in relation to Krishna. And how is that seeing in relation to Krishna made possible? Same. The strategy or the step-by-step procedure given by Raghunath Das applies to Dwarka. There may be persons who like, Dwarka is the place of great opulence, like super opulence, overwhelming opulence. And when people have that contact with that overwhelming opulence, their jaws drop. Then awe and veneration mood in the relationship of opulence. And then here are the queens, and they're completely immersed in. Could you not swing that thing? It's distracting the eyes. Yeah. So the queens are not enamored by the opulence because they're attached to Krishna. There's a nice, maybe some of you have seen this nice painting, and at a particular point in time, the 16,108 palaces are made of fine marble, so polished that you can see your reflection. One time Krishna was seeing his own reflection in the floor in a palace in Vrindavan, and he was stunned. He became stunned. He was motionless, seeing his own reflection in the floor, the polished floor of a palace in Dwarka. The opulence is superseded by the majesty, the superlative beauty and characteristics of Krishna. And even greater than the majesty. So, back to the question. Greater than anything in this world is Krishna. And so to see things of this world, or to see things in Dwarka, that's outside of Vrindavan, in relation to Krishna. See them in relation to Krishna. So how do you do that? By the mercy of those who have that capacity. So our line of succession, for example, and the teachings, the writings, the mood, the prayers, the songs, the ways of conveying transcendental emotion and receiving that transcendental emotion can carry one to beyond, outside of Vrindavan, into the realm of Vrindavan. That's our sound is the primary method for us, Kali Yuga folks. Sound vibration. And, you know, the Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name, these two. And then commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, like Brihat Bhagavatamrita or Laghu Bhagavatamrita or the Sandarbhas or the writings of the Goswamis about Srimad Bhagavatam. The topic of Krishna at the center is by sound. And immerse ourselves in sound. Just like I understood from Deva Madhava that your practice is when you have your gatherings for 2 hours, you have kirtan. And then when I stop blabbering, they'll have more kirtan. So sound immersion is the method. To make the connection with that which doesn't apparently seem connected, but the connection is through sound with the transcendental realm. Anyone else? Yeah.
Maharaj, I actually have a question regarding yesterday evening's class.
I'm fine.
Okay,
As long as you make it so that the rest of the people in the room can follow.
okay. So during the Brahma Vimohan Lila, where Lord Brahma steals the cowherd boys for 1 year, Krishna replicates himself as his friends, as each of the cowherd boys. I was wondering if there's any detail of, or if you may know, what Krishna is feeling during that 1 year while his friends are away, and he's essentially is playing alone by himself in his own expansions. Is he feeling some type of separation, or is he also covered by Yogamaya, just like the rest of the Vrajvasis?
This is a very subtle question. I don't know if the people in the room are going to follow what your question is.
Okay.
The question, I'll say the question again. Are there circumstances when Krishna is separated from his eternal associates, as happened in a pastime of chapter 13 of Canto 10? For 1 year, Krishna was in the absence of his eternal associate, cowherd boyfriends, by his own arrangement. So the answer, and so the question is, was Krishna covered by Yogamaya? That is, the cowherd boys were covered by Yogamaya. They didn't feel any separation. They didn't feel it at all. So now what did Krishna feel? That's the question. There's no explanation of what Krishna felt. But it would, logically, intuitively, as the cowherd boys were covered by Yogamaya and didn't feel any separation, similarly, Krishna was in such a mood of giving loving exchange to others that he was not feeling that same separation that he would have even when they entered into the mouth of Aghasura. He was feeling a feeling of separation, knowing that they were feeling separation from him, wanting to be connected. So the as a supposition, there's no scriptural evidence to indicate this, but it would logically be that as the cowherd boys were not feeling separation, Krishna was not feeling separation by the arrangements of his Yogamaya potency. Rather, he was engaging in loving dealings with many, many others in such a way that they were satisfied, and because they were satisfied, he was satisfied. Intuitively, but not from scriptural reference, what was Krishna's experiencing. Yogamaya. Okay. So we're going to end. And whatever is next, what's next? You got a nice crowd here.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Nice gathering.
I think it's your fault.
Oh,
So I think this the setup will shift out. Yes, yeah. So we're gonna leave kirtan from here shortly. Only. Maharaj was just speaking about the spirit of humility and how Vrindavan can be accessed through sound. And so this simple mantra that we sing, it's a prayer that looks overly simple for what it promises. It's just 3 words, and we seem to say them over and over and over again. It seems that way because it's true. That's just what we give them. And the faith, the hope, the humility, through this simple act, the entirety of the spiritual world can reveal itself to me, and I can enter into it. And if the spiritual world is as fabulous as it's promised, then such a profound thing is possible through such a simple thing. So that's the spirit of the prayer that we'll sing together now. Thank you, Maharaj, for laying out all the prospects of that land so beautifully so that we could have an informed spirit to our prayers.
I'm going to have to excuse myself right quietly to do the 23 to do. I have this morning activity that I'm supposed to do early. And thank you for coming. It's nice to be with you. I appreciate it.